Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about fully disposable. So what does that mean? Well, at Wonderland Tattoo Studios, we're a fully disposable shop. We're going to talk about the benefits to you, the client, and how we approach being fully disposable. We're also going to have our body piercer Deacon come in, and he's going to talk to you guys about how he approaches being a fully disposable body piercer. Enjoy! Hey guys, if you're new to the channel, my name is Wayne. I'm a tattoo artist with 25 years experience, and I'm also the owner of Wonderland Studios here in Kitchener. So basically what we try to do on this channel is we try to talk about tattoo related content, things that can help people that are brand new to it, but also, we do product reviews for tattoo artists, so it kind of help everybody along the way. We want to talk about all things tattoo related. So today what we're talking about is we're talking about being fully disposable. And so what does fully disposable mean? Well, basically what that means is that we are single use only. So anything that we're going to have that comes in contact with the client is going to be single use. So basically we're not going to be cleaning and sterilizing and reusing the same equipment on multiple clients. So how do we achieve this from a tattooing standpoint? Well, most tattoo shops are disposable in the sense that they don't use the same needle on multiple clients. But what separates us is that we don't use a metal tube. So traditionally, you'd have a metal tube that the needle runs through, and then you would clean and sterilize that tube and use it over and over and over again. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, provided that you know how to dismantle, clean, and sterilize that piece of equipment. Personally, I'd rather have the peace of mind of knowing that I've used one thing on one client and never had to use it again. So basically, the disposable grip and cartridge replaces the metal tube and needle system that we're more familiar with. A traditional tattoo machine, you're going to have a metal tube that a needle runs through, and that tube is going to get dismantled, cleaned, and then autoclaved sterilized and used over and over and over again. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, provided that you know how to dismantle, clean, and autoclave and process that equipment properly. But what I like to do is take it one step further, and I just have like a disposable grip that I can just throw away afterwards, and I use this cartridge. This cartridge I'll go into a little bit greater detail with. So the cartridge right now is my preferred method. Why do I like the cartridge? Well, the cartridge is a needle and a tube combined into one. And it also has a little membrane on the back, so that prevents any ink from spraying back on the machine. And keep in mind that anywhere there's ink, you can assume it's contaminated. So that basically just kind of prevents any kind of contamination getting back onto my tattoo machine. So what's the next thing we do? Well, the next thing is the grip. So the traditional, most tattoo machines come with a metal grip. As you can see, it's just a little, there we go. It's just a little metal piece that goes on the end of the tattoo machine, and your cartridge just clicks into the end of it like that. Now, I prefer to use a disposable grip when it comes to that kind of thing. It's the same idea. Like, anytime I can eliminate any kind of risk, why not? So this way I can just stick the cartridge right in the end of that piece and just throw it away when I'm done with the tattoo. And then that way I don't have to go through the hassle of cleaning, sanitizing, and sterilizing this end piece. So once again, it's a little bit cleaner, and it makes me feel a lot more comfortable about what we're doing. So the next thing we'll talk about, I guess, is the stations and how we set up the stations and what we do to barrier and prevent cross-contamination. So next thing we're going to do is talk about how I set up a station. So I've made a couple of videos of me setting up a station just to kind of give you a feel for how everything goes down. So basically you'll see that everything is being washed and sanitized before I put it on any barriers. So basically what I got going on there is I'm taking an Optim wipe, I'm wiping down my station, and that's just to clean it. You're going to let that sit for 3 minutes and then clean it off. And then you're going to do the same thing once again, let it set for 3 minutes. There's a 3-minute kill time on the Optim wipes. Let it sit for 3 minutes, and that's going to sanitize that countertop. Now I'm going to start putting down a barrier. So you'll see that I'm putting down a paper barrier. Now paper, to me, it's paper on one side, it's plastic on the other. I keep the paper side up. That way, in case there is any little bit of ink that drops off, it's going to absorb into the paper and not be on the plastic, where it can just, like, as soon as you pull it off, kind of drip down onto you. Again, that prevents any kind of cross-contamination. So I want you to take notice that everything has a barrier over it. So the power supply that I'm using, that I'm going to be touching while I'm tattooing, is going to have a barrier. the tattoo machine itself has a barrier, and the wash bottle has a barrier. So basically the wash bottle is what I'm going to be using to wash down your tattoo as I'm working on it. So that's going to have a barrier on it. So the wash bottle itself is filled with sterile water with just a little hint of pure cleanse in there, just so that it's a little soapy, so it cleans off your tattoo a little bit easier. Now I'm going to use distilled water in my rinse cup. So the rinse cup is what I'm using to clean out the tubes as I'm switching colors back and forth. And so that's a little bit of distilled water. Another thing to take notice of is the inks are all poured out in little cups. They're called ink caps, and those are single-use caps of ink. Now most tattoo shops are going to use an ink cap. Basically it's like you're going to pour out as much as you need for the tattoo, and then you're going to throw it away afterwards. That seems pretty standard and self-explanatory. Every little step of the way, I want to make sure everything is as clean as possible. So you'll notice how I set up my station is everything I'm going to touch is sanitized and then barriered. Now it's really important to me that every step of the way I'm not going back and forth. So I'm going from like a clean setup to a working station, and then anything goes from the working station into the trash or into a sharps container. For example, obviously your contaminated needles go into a sharps container. So when we're tearing down a station, we're going to be doing the same thing as the setup, but in reverse. And so I'm going to take all those sharps. That's the first thing I'm going to do is dump those in a sharps container. And then I'm going to take a liquid solidifier. The liquid solidifier, I'm going to pour that into my rinse cup and in my ink caps. And what that does is it takes all that contaminated liquid and turns it into a gel. So it eliminates spilling it on yourself or on the floor. And then from that point, we start to pull all the barriers off of everything and then clean and sanitize in the same way. You have 3 minutes cleaning, 3 minutes sanitizing. So we'll keep all those tabs and we'll staple those to your release form. And then we have a record that can track the expiry date and the lot numbers, and we have everything right there. Just want to give you a quick view from my station so you can see from my perspective how this all works. So got my tattoo table right here where my client would be sitting. So you got a barrier on top of that. You can see how my station is just set up on top of this toolbox. And right above that, you'll see we have hand sanitizer. I got Optum wipes, and then right beside that I got my sharps container. So pretty much I can wash my hands, I can clean my station, and I can dispose of my sharps pretty much within arm's reach of my station, which is super important. We'll also get a good look at this station while we're here. So what you'll notice again is the wash bottle has a bag over it, disposable rinse cup, disposable razor. We have a barrier on top of the tattoo machine that goes all the way down to the cord. And we also have a barrier over this power unit. Now what's really interesting, as you can see here, is that this disposable grip basically just screws right on to the end of that machine. And you can see that everything that I'm going to be coming in contact with is just getting tossed out afterwards and then sanitized. So there you go. So the next thing we're going to talk about is skin markers. So a skin marker is a surgical disposable single-use marker. So from time to time, you're going to have to draw on your client's skin. So sometimes the stencil doesn't take all the way, or you have to alter the stencil, or maybe you're drawing a background in behind a tattoo, you're going to have to draw on the body. So the best thing to do is use a disposable marker, because basically once you've shaved that skin, it's considered to be broken skin now, and you want to prevent any kind of like client-to-client, skin-to-skin kind of infections. So for example, if you use a Sharpie and use that same Sharpie on multiple clients, you're basically transferring that skin-to-skin contact from client to client to client. So what we use is a single-use disposable skin marker. So now we'll catch up with Deacon and we'll see how he approaches being tool-free and single-use from a piercer's standpoint.
Hey guys, my name is Deacon. I'm the body piercer here at Wonderland Tattoo Studios. I've been piercing for about 20 years. I'm a member of the Association of Professional Piercers, and one of the questions that we kind of get asked here the most is basically, what does fully disposable mean? Another way to look at it is single use. So basically, everything that we use, we throw out immediately. Myself, I operate out of a Statum, so everything that we use for every client is sterilized immediately for them, for use, and then disposed of or passed along to them. So if you want to come along with me into the piercing room, we'll kind of take a look at some of the instruments that we use, how we use them, a couple little different techniques, and basically how we're able to provide a fully disposable service to the client. Come on in. So again, one of the biggest questions that we get asked is, what does fully disposable mean? Well, the other way to look at it is just simply single use. A lot of times people think that, well, the needle gets thrown out every single time. What's really the difference? And it's really kind of in the details. When you look at a lot of body piercing procedures, we're going to use a lot of tools and instrumentation for things like inserting jewelry and kind of changing some stuff out. Something like this is what's known as a reverse transfer pin or an insertion taper. We use these a lot after your piercing has been completed to help us to change the direction to insert jewelry for client comfort. Well, something like this in a traditional reprocessing studio is going to be through about thousands of people over the course of its lifetime. I don't really know about you, but I'm not really too comfortable having something that's been put through my body that's been put through thousands of others. So the easiest way to basically kind of not really have that problem is just simply don't use it. So for a couple extra cents, we do things like use a series of telescoping needle blanks. We put everything together, and basically what we have is a version of that same little insertion taper, does the exact same job, but what we're able to do is to immediately after use, take it, dispose of that in our sharps container, and then have zero contamination from client to client. So with regards to piercing, we've kind of discussed how we're using our needles, we're using our tapers, and those are kind of getting thrown out. But at the end of the day, sometimes you're going to need to use a tool. If it comes down to client comfort, it doesn't really matter your piercer's skill level and what they're comfortable with. If it's going to make something a little bit easier for you, then that's really going to be the way to go. And sometimes that's going to involve using a tool. The thing about tools is that, well, they cost money. They're not really expensive, but it kind of adds up over piercing to piercing. So if we need to use something like a little pair of hemostats or an insertion taper, then we basically have a couple options. We can just simply throw it out, or we can just kind of clean it up, throw that in a package, you can take it with you. At Wonderland Studios, we sell tools, we offer education to our clients, give them tutorials on how to use the different tools, the different pieces of implementations that can allow them to change their jewelry with ease and comfort at home, basically to kind of train you to be a little bit more self-reliant. Now, as an added benefit at Wonderland Studios, we are fully disposable all the way down to even what we use to mark the skin. Now, we can either throw it out, or if you like, you can take it with you. You can draw on your friends if they pass out on the couch, or draw on Dad's face and just take an afternoon nap.
Well, there you have it. I hope that we've answered some of the questions that you might have about fully disposable and what we mean when we say fully disposable. Basically, when you hear that term, I want you to think single use. Now, my name is Wayne. That was my body piercer Deacon that we had in earlier. We're Wonderland Studios, so don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And until the next time, we'll see you later.